No one saw this coming. Not the fans who supported her for years, not the producers who thought they controlled every narrative, and certainly not Jackie Christie herself. What surfaced wasn't gossip that could be brushed off. It wasn't a messy reunion fight or a rumor planted for ratings. This was betrayal so sharp it cut through her entire legacy. Because what leaked wasn't speculation, it was recordings. Clear, undeniable recordings of Doug Christie, the man she loved and trusted for decades, speaking words that revealed a plan not to protect her, but to destroy her from the inside out. And the worst part? He wasn't alone. Malaysia, the woman Jackie defended, embraced, and called a sister, was right there in the shadows with him. The first audio dropped like a bomb. At first, people thought it had to be fake. A deepfake prank? A bad edit? Because nobody wanted to believe Doug could ever say something so cruel. But the voice was unmistakable. Calm, calculated, chilling. "She's too emotional," Doug muttered, almost with annoyance. "We build her up, then we crush her. Malaysia will handle her soft spots." That one line was enough to shatter everything fans thought they knew about their marriage. This wasn't a slip of the tongue. This was strategy. And when the second tape came out, Malaysia's voice, steady and disturbingly calm, it only confirmed the nightmare. "She trusts me. I'll break her when you're ready. Just say the word." The internet erupted. TikTok filled with edits of Jackie's old breakdowns, fans rewatching moments where she cried or ranted, now captioning them with, "She wasn't crazy. She was being broken." Instagram turned into a battlefield. Some tried to defend Doug, saying maybe it was out of context. But as more people listened, as the rawness of the audio sank in, the defenses collapsed. This wasn't out of context. This was premeditated. This was betrayal dressed as loyalty. What made it worse was how the producers seemed to play along. In one clip, Doug's voice could be heard talking to a showrunner. "Keep the cameras off when she breaks. We need her to explode later." That wasn't a husband protecting his wife. That was a man plotting her collapse for maximum impact. Suddenly, Jackie's paranoia over the years, the tears, the angry outbursts that people dismissed as too much, looked like the reaction of a woman being cornered from every direction. She thought she was fighting for her marriage, fighting for her friendships, rebuilding herself season after season. In reality, she was walking into a trap built for ratings. And Malaysia? Her betrayal cut the deepest. Jackie stood by her when nobody else would. She defended her in fights, sat beside her through scandals, even let her into her home. That trust was used against her. Fans went back to old episodes, replaying moments where Jackie smiled through tears, hugged Malaysia, forgave her again and again. Now every hug looked staged. Every reconciliation felt scripted. The tapes turned Malaysia from Jackie's ride or die into her Judas. The fallout was instant. TikTok tributes poured in, showing Jackie laughing in old clips with captions like, "All she wanted was loyalty. They gave her knives." Hashtags trended, Chagra justice for Jackie. You dare protect black women? She was never crazy. Fans who had once rolled their eyes at Jackie's tears now said they felt guilty for laughing. Because behind those tears was a woman being emotionally assassinated, her pain turned into entertainment. Meanwhile, Doug vanished. No apology, no statement, no explanation. His accounts went dark, and his silence only made him look more guilty. Malaysia tried to throw shade instead of clarity. She posted an Instagram story. "People only believe what benefits their narrative. Stay solid." The internet dragged her for it. Stay solid? After being caught plotting on tape? Fans flooded her comments, calling her out as cold and heartless. And Jackie? She stayed completely silent. Not a post. Not a word. Insiders whispered that she wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping, barely speaking to anyone. A close family friend admitted she thought Doug was the one person who would never betray her. Now she doesn't believe in anyone. That silence spoke louder than any statement. It was the silence of someone whose entire world had collapsed. But then came the second blow. Another leaked tape, this time Malaysia caught speaking to a producer. Her tone was colder than ever. "Jackie's spiraling. Good, that's the reaction we need. The more she breaks, the better our angle." That line sent the internet into flames. The better our angle became the symbol of betrayal. Fans dragged every fake brunch, every staged apology, every half-hearted hug. It wasn't friendship. It was performance. It wasn't healing. It was manipulation. Old clips resurfaced, one from season 7 where Jackie had a breakdown at a dinner party. She cried and screamed while Doug sat silent, expressionless, watching her crumble. At the time, people mocked her, said she was dramatic. But now fans rewatched it and saw it differently. His silence wasn't shock, it was satisfaction. He was watching his plan unfold. Even crew members started speaking anonymously. A makeup artist admitted Jackie had cried in her chair before a reunion, whispering that everyone wanted her to fall apart. At the time, the artist thought she was exaggerating, but now, she believed her. Finally, Jackie broke her silence, not with words, but with a black screen and a single line. "You all got what you wanted. I'm done." No hashtags, no context, just pain. The internet erupted again. Fans begged her not to give up. Celebrities like Tammy Rivera, Tammy Roman, and Keke Palmer reposted her words. Keke wrote, "This industry will eat you alive if you don't play dirty." Jackie played with love. They played with knives, and still, Doug said nothing. Malaysia doubled down, but her words rang hollow. Meanwhile, insiders whispered something even darker. The recordings weren't supposed to leak. They came from inside production. A whistleblower. Someone who couldn't watch the manipulation anymore. That meant the cruelest words weren't slips for cameras. They were private strategies, never meant to see daylight. That made it worse. This wasn't a storyline. It was real life. It was deliberate. And now the world is left with the ugliest question. Why? Why would Doug Christie, the man Jackie defended and loved for decades, want to erase her? Why would Malaysia, the woman Jackie treated like family, want to break her? Was it jealousy? Control? Fame? Or was it simply power for power's sake? Nobody has answers. All we have are the tapes, the silence, and a woman who gave everything only to find out the people clapping for her were the same ones holding the knife. For her were the same ones holding the knife. The silence didn't last. Because when the second tape burned through the internet and the hashtags refused to die down, Jackie Christie finally stepped out of the shadows. Not with a flashy live stream, not with a reality TV-style sit-down, but with something no one expected: the courthouse. Just days after posting that black screen that read, "You all got what you wanted. I'm done," Jackie walked into court in all white, head held high, eyes forward, carrying papers that would flip the entire narrative upside down. She wasn't there for a divorce hearing or a restraining order. She was there to fight back against an entire system. Her paperwork read, defamation, emotional abuse, intentional infliction of psychological trauma. She wasn't just suing Doug, she wasn't just suing Malaysia. She was suing the production company itself for what she called systemic emotional exploitation. The gallery erupted. Reporters scrambled to capture every word, every step, because this wasn't just another celebrity breakup. This was a legal war about reality TV itself. Outside the courthouse, fans gathered with signs that read, "Team Jackie Forever," and "Emotional abuse is abuse." The energy was unlike anything reality TV had ever seen. People weren't just there to gossip, they were there to demand justice. And for the first time, Jackie wasn't playing defense. She was on the attack. The press turned almost instantly. Up until then, most outlets had treated the story like messy reality TV drama. But once Jackie filed those papers, it became something bigger. The narrative shifted from Jackie's losing it again to Jackie is standing up for every woman who's ever been gaslit and broken for ratings. Suddenly, journalists were digging into VH1's past. Former cast members stepped forward. Women who claimed their breakdowns had also been manipulated for storylines. Anonymous producers admitted they were told to push women to their breaking points on camera. What Jackie revealed cracked the door open. Now others were ready to kick it wide. And it wasn't just talk. Behind the scenes, 4 other women were preparing to join Jackie's case, turning her lawsuit into a potential class action that could blow the entire industry apart. Lawyers whispered that if this case went forward, it could set a precedent that would forever change how reality TV is produced. For the first time, there was a chance that emotional manipulation for entertainment wouldn't just be unethical, it could be illegal. Doug Christie, on the other hand, scrambled. Instead of apologizing, instead of owning the tapes, he doubled down. His legal team filed a countersuit claiming Jackie knew what she was signing up for when she joined reality TV. They called her reaction an over-dramatization for sympathy. But when the court demanded proof, Doug's lawyers submitted a stack of old text messages, most over a decade old. None of them showed Jackie agreeing to be emotionally sabotaged. None of them proved she was in on some grand plan. One legal analyst laughed on live TV, calling Doug's defense one of the weakest, most delusional filings in emotional abuse litigation history. The move backfired. Instead of painting Jackie as manipulative, it made Doug look desperate. Meanwhile, Jackie was breaking the internet again, but this time on her own terms. She sat down for an exclusive interview, no glam squad, no filters, just a black outfit, bare face, and one camera. The moment the video started, she said, "I was loyal to a man who studied me like a case file, who took everything I loved and turned it into leverage." Her voice cracked. She cried, not the overproduced kind of tears fans had once dismissed, but raw, guttural sobs from a woman finally speaking for herself. She wept for the wife who fought so hard to hold on to a marriage that had already been weaponized against her. She wept for the friend who thought loyalty was protection, not destruction. But then she wiped her face, looked straight into the camera, and said, "I'm done being the storyline. I'm writing my own now." The internet exploded. Fans filled the comment section with thousands of messages of support. One person wrote, "This is more powerful than a whole season of Basketball Wives." Another said, "This isn't a breakdown. This is a breakthrough." The video was shared across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Within 24 hours, it had more views than any VH1 reunion episode in the past 5 years. Jackie's pain wasn't entertainment anymore. It was a movement, and she wasn't stopping there. Days later, Jackie announced the launch of the Christie Project, a foundation for women silenced by toxic love. The nonprofit offered therapy, legal resources, and safe spaces for women manipulated under the guise of loyalty. Within 48 hours, the website crashed from too many signups. Donations poured in. Jackie's heartbreak was birthing purpose, and people rallied behind it. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for every woman who had ever been broken by someone they trusted. But as Jackie was finding strength, the betrayal still had one more layer to peel back. Another tape surfaced, one that shook the entertainment world even harder than the first two. This time, it wasn't just Doug in Malaysia whispering. It was Doug on the phone with a VH1 executive. His words were venom. "We need her to cry at the reunion. Can you feed her some fake story?" Something about her mom. On the recording, you could hear laughter in the background. Another voice, allegedly Malaysia, chimed in, "Tell her I talked to her mom last week. That always gets her." Then Doug's voice again, cold as ice. "She won't know what's real anymore." That's when we win. That clip destroyed whatever was left of Doug's reputation. This wasn't about a marriage falling apart. This was psychological warfare orchestrated for television. Fans went from angry to outraged. Celebrities who had been quiet finally spoke. Taraji P. Henson posted, "This isn't TV, this is trauma. This is psychological warfare." Viola Davis tweeted, "There is no entertainment in watching a woman be dismantled emotionally. Shame on every hand that played a part." The backlash was so intense that networks started pulling reruns of Jackie's most traumatic episodes. Streaming services quietly removed entire seasons from their libraries. The industry for the first time looked scared, and the dominoes didn't stop falling. Doug's sponsorships evaporated overnight. His endorsement deals were canceled. Universities that once invited him for motivational speeches boycotted him. His public image, once polished as the loyal husband, was now in ruins. And Malaysia? She tried to go live on Instagram to defend herself. She claimed she was told to do what was best for the show. But the comments shredded her. Fans called her a manipulator, a betrayer, a sellout. Her words only deepened the wound. Too little, too late. Through it all, Jackie stayed quiet, strategic, letting the tapes and the evidence speak louder than anything she could say. But those closest to her whispered that she wasn't broken anymore. She was transforming the pain into fire. Because Jackie Christie, the woman they thought they had scripted into silence, was about to turn her betrayal into a revolution. What everyone thought would end with Jackie retreating quietly instead became the most powerful transformation of her entire career. Because when the final tape leaked, the one where Doug Christie and Malaysia were caught laughing with a VH1 executive about triggering Jackie with stories about her mother, the betrayal hit a level no one was ready for. Fans who had already been outraged were now furious. This wasn't just reality TV drama. This was psychological warfare. They had used Jackie's deepest wounds, the pain she carried about her family, as a weapon for ratings. And the moment Doug's cold voice echoed, "She won't know what's real anymore," that's when we win. The illusion of loyalty, marriage, and friendship was gone forever. The internet erupted like never before. TikTok edits turned that one chilling line into a viral soundtrack, layered over clips of Jackie crying through past seasons. On Twitter, celebrities who had stayed silent were finally speaking up. Taraji P. Henson called it trauma disguised as entertainment. Viola Davis tweeted, "There is no art in dismantling a woman's spirit for a storyline. Shame on every hand involved." Even activists and therapists weighed in, pointing out that what Jackie endured wasn't just betrayal, it was textbook emotional abuse broadcast for profit. And the hashtags grew louder. True justice for Jackie, true protect Black women, true she was never crazy. The people weren't just gossiping anymore. They were marching digitally, demanding accountability. For Doug, the fallout was catastrophic. His sponsorships dried up overnight. Endorsement deals were canceled one by one. Schools and community centers that once hired him for motivational speeches quietly erased his name from their rosters. His once polished image as a devoted husband and family man crumbled into ash. What had been built over decades was gone in days, and the silence from his side only made him look more guilty. As for Malaysia, her weak attempts to defend herself only dug her hole deeper. When she went live claiming she was doing what was best for the show, the comments shredded her. Viewers told her to log off forever. To them, there was no excuse for stabbing a friend in the back just to secure an angle. Meanwhile, Jackie was moving differently. Instead of clapping back with petty posts, she let the silence and the evidence speak. Her foundation, the Christie Project, exploded in popularity. Women from across the country shared stories of being gaslit, manipulated, and emotionally broken by the very people they trusted most. Jackie's pain became their rallying cry. The website crashed from too many signups. Donations poured in from fans and celebrities. And Jackie realized what Doug and Malaysia thought would end her was only building her. She wasn't broken. She was reborn, but there was still the courtroom. Jackie showed up in sharp suits, calm and collected, with stacks of evidence that spoke louder than anything she could say. The leaked tapes were played in front of a judge, and the entire room went silent. Hearing Doug's voice say, "We build her up, then we crush her," wasn't just evidence. It was haunting. Jackie sat in the front row, eyes forward, refusing to flinch. For years, people had accused her of exaggerating, of being too much. Now they heard the truth for themselves, and there was no denying it. Legal analysts across networks tore Doug's countersuit apart, calling it weak, delusional, and insulting to the intelligence of the court. The turning point came when a whistleblower, a junior producer, testified anonymously. They revealed that Jackie wasn't the only one manipulated this way, that multiple women were pushed to breakdowns for ratings. They admitted that Doug and Malaysia's conversations weren't one-offs. They were part of a pattern. Jackie's case wasn't just personal anymore. It was systemic. Suddenly, other former cast members began circling, hinting at joining Jackie's lawsuit. What began as one woman's cry for justice threatened to turn into a class action case that could topple an entire industry. Outside the courthouse, the crowds grew bigger with each hearing. Fans carried signs that read, "Team Jackie forever," "Emotional abuse is abuse," and "Reality TV needs rules." They weren't just fans anymore. They were supporters. Protesters, believers in a cause Jackie never thought she'd lead. She walked past them each day, giving small nods of thanks, her silence more powerful than any speech. The woman they thought they had broken was now commanding an army without even raising her voice. Inside, Doug's defenses collapsed further. His lawyers tried to paint Jackie as unstable, but every attempt backfired. Every tearful clip they played, every emotional breakdown they tried to weaponize, only reminded the court of the tapes. It didn't look like Jackie was unstable anymore. It looked like she was the victim of years of psychological torment. Malaysia's involvement made it worse. Her name kept popping up in evidence, her voice on recordings, her actions on screen. She couldn't escape it. Every denial looked weaker, every excuse thinner. Then came Jackie's own testimony. The room was packed, cameras flashing outside, but inside it was just her voice echoing against the walls. She didn't scream. She didn't sob uncontrollably. She spoke with calm devastation. She said, "I believed in love. I believed in friendship. I gave my loyalty to people who studied my heart like a strategy. They weren't protecting me. They were destroying me. And I'm here because I refuse to let my silence be their victory." The gallery fell quiet. Even the judge paused. In that moment, Jackie stopped being a reality TV star. She became a survivor demanding recognition. The interview she gave afterward solidified her transformation. Dressed in black, no makeup, sitting in front of a single camera, she said, "For years I was the storyline. Now I am the author. And I'm writing something they can't edit. Fans wept watching it. Celebrities reposted it. Within hours, her words were trending worldwide. Jackie Christie, once mocked as paranoid and too much, was now the face of a movement. And then, the verdict. The courtroom held its breath as the judge ruled that Doug, Malaysia, and the network had engaged in intentional emotional exploitation. The details would take months to finalize. But the judgment was clear. Jackie's pain was real. Her claims were valid. And the people who tried to erase her were guilty of more than betrayal. They were guilty of cruelty. The gallery erupted into cheers, and outside the crowd roared so loud it shook the courthouse steps. Jackie walked out, head high, finally smiling through the tears, not broken, but whole. Doug's life crumbled further in the aftermath. Sponsors blacklisted him. His once clean reputation was shredded beyond repair. Malaysia faded from public life, her attempts to rebrand drowned out by the stain of betrayal. But Jackie rose. She expanded the Christie Project into a nationwide organization. She began touring, speaking not as a reality TV star, but as a survivor advocating for women everywhere. Her story became more than entertainment. It became testimony, and that's the irony Doug never saw coming. He thought he was writing her downfall. He thought silencing her would erase her legacy. Instead, he created her rebirth. Jackie Christie, the woman who gave everything to loyalty, who trusted too much, who was mocked for her tears, was now immortalized as the one who turned betrayal into a blueprint for survival. Her name no longer sat in the shadows of Basketball Wives storylines. It stood on its own. And in the end, that was the victory no one could take from her. Because if this story proved anything, it's that the knives held by the people clapping closest don't always win. Sometimes the woman they tried to break learns how to turn the blade into her crown.